Perfect, and we'll get things started. We're very excited to have everybody here today. My name is Ted Denbo, and I'm the VP Head of Sales here at RightCapital. I'll let Richard introduce himself quick. Richard Thorney, Executive Vice President.
Yep. If I can take myself off mute, sorry about that. Hi, everybody. Richard Taney. I am the Executive Vice President of Product Strategy for PreciseFP.
Excellent. Rich and I are very excited to be here today to talk about our latest enhancements and our integration. So we can jump over to the next slide. We'll walk through the agenda real quick here for today. As mentioned, Rich is going to take you on a quick tour of the PreciseFP platform, show you some of the great features that they have, and then he's actually going to jump into the integration a little bit. We're going to highlight our features, how you can connect between PreciseFP and RightCapital, and then I'll come in and talk about our planning solution here at RightCapital and give you a quick demonstration using some of the 5 common questions that advisors go through with their clients. So that being said, I'm going to turn off my camera and let Richard take it away from here, and then I'll jump back in a little bit. Thank you, everybody, and take it away, Richard.
All right, thanks, Ted. I think I'll kill my camera too, so you're not distracted by me looking at you for the time being. So let me jump over here. So I see in our poll that we got quite a few people that are familiar with PreciseFP. But just to give you a little background for those of you not familiar, we've actually been around quite a while. We get this question, people think, oh, you're kind of a new technology. We've been around 16 plus years. We've been around quite a while, a very mature platform, 30 plus integration partners, lots of accolades, lots of awards. We're part of the Michael Kitcey's Advisor Tech platform, actually a leader in our group, as well as RightCapital. So a lot of nice accolades. So the firm's been around for quite a while. We also recently joined the affinity program with LPL. So we finally got our foot in the door with LPL to really develop and expand on that relationship, which is really nice. And we were acquired, PreciseFP was acquired by DocuPace a couple of years ago. And that really helped accelerate some of the development and really help us expand the platform. So we've actually been around, like I said, quite a mature platform. So let's talk about the core solutions. So there's something that came up recently that I thought kind of would put the answer to the what is PreciseFP, what do we do in context. So it was actually at a conference, and we had a breakout session where the question came up to the audience, what is your most valuable asset? And kind of went around, lots of conversation, but by far and away, clients was number one. Everybody said, yep, clients, most valuable asset. But runners up to that, which I thought were kind of interesting, was the client's data and trust. So those became kind of number 2 and 3 in that hierarchy of what's really valuable. So collecting the information about those clients becomes incredibly important. Doing it once, doing it in a really elegant and efficient way, that's a really nice experience for the investor, really nice experience for the prospect or the client. So really engaging experience becomes absolutely critical. Doing it cyber secure, so doing it in a very secure way is not only critical, it's actually really a differentiator. So if you do it well, collect that data, do it once, you can really build instant credibility. So the experience for the investor, instant credibility if you do that really well, do it elegantly, only collect that data once, and ultimately that builds trust. So not only trust with the end investor, it also builds trust with your teams. If you have other people that are helping collect this and manage this data, it becomes really, really important. And you can really build trust. Your team, can rely on it. The investors can rely on it. And oftentimes, this is your first touch with that client. So that first impression is absolutely critical. You do it right, you can reduce the cost, reduce stress, reduce friction, and ultimately build that trust with, like I said, with the relationship with your client. So super important. So PreciseFP is a platform to do just that. It interacts with the investor in a very elegant way to collect and maintain that investor information, and then it can share that data with other systems. So go out, reach out to the end client, reach out to that investor, collect some data, share some data, update that data, and then bring that data into PreciseFP and then share that up and downstream. So lots of bi-directional integrations with lots of different systems, for example, RightCapital, which is what we're going to go through today. So it really can be a data hub also and really help maintain that data between the different systems. So super, super important. At the core of it, the solutions, the one we're going to look at today is really around the digital fact finder for RightCapital. So those are those client engagements. Those are the way to interact with the client, collect this data, and then share that data up and downstream. So that's kind of the core of the platform. And then we have a host of templates that we built. So we have a whole template library over the last 16 years that has been built for best practices. So anything and everything that has to do with touching your client, sharing data, under any scenario that helps you with your practice, we probably have a template for that. Those are templates you can take pre-built, and then you can customize them to your heart's content to use them any way you want, which we're going to show you a little bit about that today. And then the lead gen, service agreements, and IPS, those are actually template types. So those are categories of templates. But a couple cool things about those, just to give you a sense of some of the functionality in the platform. On the lead gen side, we also have a web publishing capability. So we have a whole template, a series of lead gen. Let's say you wrote a really cool paper that you can use as a lead gen piece on how to retire early or how to make $1 million on cat memes, which actually somebody did. I found was pretty interesting. Somebody made $1 million on selling cat memes online. But anyway, so you write a really cool paper, and then you want to use that as a lead gen piece. You can go out and grab a lead gen template and say it says, and then you want to put that on your website. You could go out, grab a lead gen piece. Hey, if you enter your first name, last name, email, phone number, download my How to Retire Early, published document. So you can build that, and then you can publish that. So you could publish it as a URL if you want to send out an email, post on social media if you wanted to use that. You could publish it in HTML or an iframe or a banner that you want to put on your website or a button. Lots of different ways to basically publish that. You could drop that onto your website. Now you've got something on your homepage. Somebody comes in, hey, I want to learn how to retire early. I'm going to enter my information. And then that becomes an instant prospect in the platform, which then goes into the automated workflows. So now they're a prospect. You can kick off automated workflows in the platform to take the next steps. They enter that information, they download that form. You can automatically send out another follow-up piece to them that says, hey, great, thanks for downloading this. Here's my calendar, please set up a time, I'd love to chat with you, something like that. Lots of workflows around prospects and clients. And then the service agreements, another type of a template where we've got service agreements that you can customize and use for your clients. One of the cool things is we have a digital signature embedded in the platform. So it's actually digital signature. For those of you familiar with the difference between an electronic signature and digital signature is the higher security standard, has all the hashing, doesn't break Adobe. It has, actually it's the same that like a DocuSign or Signix would use. So that's embedded in the platform. Why that's super cool. It doesn't have to use with just service agreements. We have signatures going to be applied anywhere, but it's often used with the service agreements. And it's really nice because for the client's sake, it's not a different experience. It's all embedded. The digital signature process is just part of that embedded experience. It's not a third-party system. You're not going out to a DocuSign, Signix, hello, Eastside Live, sending out some other third-party emails that they have to interact with. You're not sending data outside of the system. So it's just a really nice way, and it becomes part of the platform. So if you're using a third-party digital signature platform, so a DocuSign, Signix, Eastside Live, like I said, they're expensive. Every time you use those, every time you create an envelope, it could be anywhere from $3 to $8, depending on the authentication used, depending on the way you have it set up. So it's very expensive. You're hitting the cash register every time you use a third party. So it's really nice to have an embedded signature, digital signature in the platform. And then on the investment policy statements, again, another type of a template. You can go out there, create your own policy statements, send those out. We also have an embedded risk tolerance. So you can build out a whole risk tolerance questionnaire that generates a risk number. So really nice, just some other features, just to give you a sense of the whole sort of some of the capabilities of the platform and our core solutions. But today we're going to talk about our integration with our friends at RightCapital. So let me jump over into a different view here. Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit about the way that we build an engagement specifically for RightCapital and send that out to a prospect in this case. I'm going to kind of jump in a little bit in the middle of the process, but just share with you how this process works. How do we send this out? How do we connect with the client? How do we collect this data? So let's say I've got Josh Lee here. He's a prospect, and you can see collect prospects and client information. And this is my account list. So these are all my accounts that I have in the platform. And I'm going to interact with Josh Lee. So I'm going to, like I said, jump in a little bit in the middle of the process. Let's say I've talked to him. He's a prospect. I've entered some information in the system. So I've talked to him a little bit and said, hey, I want to go ahead and, we want to build a financial plan with RightCapital. Okay, awesome. Hey, Josh, I'm going to send you out an engagement. I'm going to send you out the RightCapital specific engagement that you can fill out and then collect this data. And then we're going to use that. And I'm going to show you how that goes into RightCapital. So I have Josh Lee here, and I'm just going to go ahead and engage with him with a form. And then, as I said, we have a whole host of templates, every scenario you can possibly imagine under the sun. All these templates you can just go out and grab and then customize them to your heart's content. So we have a pre-built one for RightCapital right here. And you can see up here's my recently used, here's recently updated ones, but I could go search for any template I wanted. Go see all the templates that we host. So I'm going to use the RightCapital Fact Finder. So I'm going to select that. Now I'm going to send this out to Josh. I could send it out and have Ann Lee's information. That's his wife in this case. I could send it out to her directly. I could also send a second one. So one goes out to Josh, one goes out to her, collect information independently. I'm just going to go ahead and send this one to Josh, show you what that looks like. And we're going to collect PII. So the system has multi-factor authentication. So we have both low security and high security engagements. By default, since we're collecting PII, this is a high security engagement. So I defaulted this to using SMS, but we have lots of different ways that you can do the authentication with the client. But what's really nice about that is anything they do, when we send this out, that investor is actually invited into the platform, so invited into PreciseFP. So nothing's outside the system. They're invited into the platform, multi-factor authentication. They're going to get a text. They're going to get this text with their phone number. They're going to have to enter that PIN number that comes to them, enter a password, then they can engage with the platform. So really nice cyber secure way of sharing data. If I wanted, I could go ahead and just send this immediately. Just going to send this out, shoot an email, let them link and start the process. In this case, I'm going to show you, I want to maybe review it. I want to take a look at it first, see what kind of data I have, what kind of information, make sure it's right, make sure what I'm going to send out is exactly what I want to go out to Josh. So I'm going to review it first. So this is exactly what the client is going to see. So all of this is customizable. You can brand it, colors, text, anything you want. So like I said, we have this pre-built template. You can go in and modify anything you want about it. It's got a little picture out here, logo, like I said, color, branding, text, everything could be managed. All of the names embedded in there, all this information is variable, so it'll automatically pull in the data based on the client that you're interacting with. So the user, in this case Josh, is going to get this email. They're going to do the PIN, they're going to authenticate, they're going to log in, and they're going to see this, and then they're going to interact with the system. So they're actually in PreciseFP at this point. A couple of things. One is they're interacting with a smart form at this point. So meaning that you can control the experience for the user. So in this case, we have like first name is required. If I try to delete this and move on, it tells me, oh, no, that's actually required. So you can do required and optional, and it'll actually interact and modify those. Everything, all the formatting is controlled. You can set anything you want to, like I said, required, optional, any sections. All of this is customizable. This is just the default version of it. It also auto saves as the user goes through it, and it also auto syncs back to PreciseFP. So as the user's going through this, if they got stuck at some point and said, hey, Richard, I got stuck, I got to this point, I don't know what to do, you can just go in and see exactly where that, you both can be looking at it at the same time and be able to make updates. You can see all the information, so it's auto syncing back into the platform, which is really nice. So you don't have to worry about if they stop somewhere, they get lost, they don't know what's going on, it'll auto save all that data. So as they go through it, it also detects the form factor that they're on, meaning that if they're on a tablet, it'll auto size, it's reflexive, meaning it'll just auto modify to whatever whatever device they're using. We're gonna go back to just our, if I can find my spot here, sorry. So go back to the desktop view. So you can see I've entered some information out here. I'm just gonna go back here real quick just to show you this. So let's say I'm Josh, I'm in here and I'm reviewing this and say, oh gosh, we actually have one too many fives, for example, in my address. So I'm gonna change that. I'll fix this one as well. And I'm gonna go through, and again, I'm reviewing this information. So maybe I've talked to him, collected some information. Maybe I've got that in my CRM to begin with, and I downloaded that into this to be able to then share so they can just review the information, or maybe they have things they want to add, pension annuities. Oh gosh, actually, yeah, I forgot to have another, I don't know, retirement pension from Boeing or something. A small pension that I've got other with Boeing. So they can go through, make these modifications, add things, take away things. You know, it's very, very interactive. It's a very nice experience for the investor. Like I said, it's all under a cyber secure platform. So I'm going to go through. I can enter children. If I have more, they can simply enter more. They can remove sections. So it's very, very interactive for the user. As they go through it, get to the end, I'm going to hit finish. Thanks for completing this. So the other thing is in the platform, we're actually going to notify you what's going on. So we sent this out to Josh. When they come in and start interacting with it and start entering data, we can send you a notification, send you an email. Hey, Josh started the process. When they complete it, hey, Josh just finished this process. We can also auto kick off when they complete this and send them out a follow-up that they can, take action on. So that's kind of the quick review of that experience. And now let's say I want to send this out. So I just reviewed it, and I can just go ahead and hit send. And that's going to come from PreciseFP. It's going to go out. They can fill it out just like I showed you. But maybe I just want to copy the link. Maybe I want it to come from my email. So we generate a link for that same engagement, same multi-factor authentication process. But I could just copy that. I could drop that into an email, and then I could send that off to them. So lots of ways to send that out. We also have periodic reminders if you want to set that up. I have these enabled for this engagement. What that is you can set auto reminders if it's not completed. So let's say I set every 5 days, I want to send an email reminder for the next 30 days. So you can set that all up in the system. It'll auto generate, auto set those out. Hey, Josh, notice you didn't finish this. Here's my calendar. Let me know if you want to schedule a time to help you finish it, something like that. So it just auto generates and can auto set those up. And you can do that, just set it and forget it. So you set these up and it just automatically manages that process for you. And then at the end, you can send out a thank you email. Hey, he finished it. Hey, thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Maybe another, here's my calendar if you want to go ahead and schedule a time, or I'll be reaching out in the next couple of days. So you can go ahead and really set it and forget it and let the system just manage that interaction for you, which is really nice. I'm just going to go ahead and send. Another thing is if the client ever says, hey, I never got it or accidentally deleted it, you can always come back in here and literally just hit resend. It'll, boom, just auto resend. So send it out to the client. I'm not going to take you through the whole process because I showed you pretty much that experience. So I'm going to jump over and show you what it looks like to now. Let's say the client finished that process and they sent the data back. So I'm going to come back in here to my accounts and look at Josh. One quick thing, if I saw that he completed it, you can see that I've got a timeline here of when things were sent. So I've got a history of what's happened, which is really nice. You can tell exactly when things went out, where it is in the process. But also in the profile, if I go look at Josh, something that's really cool is anything that changed. So let's say Josh went in and made a couple of updates, as you can see, and you can tell that things were modified or updated. And that's really nice because you can quickly scan through the information that comes back. So here's that address right here that I changed. We do a little indicator and it gives you the previous value. So you're like, oh, okay, oh gosh, he updated his address. I had too many fives in there. I should go update that, elsewhere in other systems or whatever the case may be. Or maybe for whatever reason, changed from married to divorced. That popped out. It's probably an event you want to, reach out to Josh and talk about. So it's a really nice way just to see what changed in the system. It's just a really, really nice little feature there to be able to see what's been modified in the system. But let's say I want to send this now. We engage with Josh. He filled this form out. It's a RightCapital specific one. Now I want to send this data over to RightCapital and kick that process off. So go back into the client. I'm going to export. So I'm going to send this out. And actually, we're going to circle back in this later, but it's so easy to set up the integration. I thought I would just show you this right here. But as you can see, I don't have my RightCapital integration set up. So I'm going to show you how we set that up, how quick and easy that is. I'm just going to go to my settings in the lower left here and go to integrations. And so it's going to bring up all the integrations that we have access to. You can see that they're bidirectional. It has a little double arrow, meaning we can pull in data, we can send data back. So here's my RightCapital. It's disabled right now. I'm going to go ahead and just enable this. It says we're going to redirect you to RightCapital for this process. So all you're going to do is go out to the RightCapital. Hopefully this is still sharing the screen, but I'm just entering my credentials into RightCapital if you can't see it. And I'm just going to log in, and that's going to make that connection for me. So now I've got this RightCapital integration enabled. So now when I go back into my client, and I want to send this off to RightCapital, I'm going to go back and do that export again. Now I've got RightCapital. I'm just going to select it. Now a couple cool things here. Notice I already have this link to an existing record in RightCapital because I set this up earlier. I'm just going to unlink this real quick. So what you can do is, let's say you've never connected Josh into any RightCapital and you haven't made that link in the past. You can do a search. So I'm just going to search for Lee. So we're actually going out into RightCapital, searching what data you have access to, finding if there's any clients that fit that criteria, and then returning that. So you can say, oh, okay, I'm just going to do a search, and I'm actually going to connect this into the client that I already have. Super nice feature. So we go actually find that, bring that back, and let you do it. You could also create a new record in RightCapital, and I'm going to go ahead and just hit export. So when I export, it's going to take all that rich data that I collected that Josh gave me, and it is going to run through all the information that I have that I can transmit. And in a moment, you're going to see that it's going to connect that up with RightCapital and export all that data. So you can see that all of this data that was available pulled over and tells you everything that went through and everything that was mapped. So that's how the integration works. And with that, Ted, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Richard. That was fantastic. Now I'm going to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about RightCapital and then show you the actual Josh and Ann plan, as I mentioned, using our 5 common questions for retirement. So a few quick things. Many of you may have already seen this, but in the recent Michael Kitz's tech study, we once again took top ratings. Hopefully you'll see why. We get such great reviews, and a lot of it has to do with the overall ease of use of our platform and the flexibility within there. We actually jumped up quite a bit, and one of the comments I think you can see here on the screen is that we got very high ratings in every category for financial planning. So we're very proud of that and very excited. And a lot of that comes back to some of our core value propositions to all of you. We give you the ability to take complexity and bring clarity to it within the planning experience. We do that in a multitude of ways by giving you a flexible platform that does both cash flow based and goals based planning. Everything is modular based, so that way you can pick and choose what's relevant to you and your client and create a custom experience. We give you a broad array of tools from retirement planning to tax efficient distributions to tools that are focused on younger clients like budgeting and student loans and other debt management tools. So that being said, let me dive right in and jump right into a demonstration here. And we're going to go to the Josh and Ann plan. Oh, actually, sorry, let me back up for 1 second. We want to get into a little bit about who Josh and Ann are, right? So real quick, they're in their mid-50s. They're expecting to live into their 90s. You know, they're targeting retiring around age 65. Decent income for the time being, about 200K. Around 8K in monthly expenses, both pre and post retirement. And as you can see, you know, decent assets, you know, 400K taxable, 900K qualified, you know, a typical pre-retiree client. And I'm sure many of you have very similar clients in your book of business and would like to have more of them. So as I'm sure many of you do when you're meeting with folks, there's some common questions that come up for probably every client when they're getting into that phase, right? Can they retire at the desired age? You know, in this case, Josh and Ann are looking at 65. They'd like to travel more when they get into retirement, like most folks do, right? They want to see the world or travel every state in the country, whatever it might be, but what can they afford to spend? And then when we look around, how are they going to manage, you know, their retirement funding? What's the best way to fund it? You know, what's the best order or sequence? from drawing down their accounts. And as we all are concerned with taxes throughout our life, it's particularly important in retirement, right? Making sure they manage those. Well, how can they be tax smart during retirement? And then the things that keep you up at night, both pre and post retirement, right? How do we prepare for the unexpected, whether that's high inflation, living too long, or higher taxes, or market declines, whatever it might be. So those are the 5 common questions. I'm sure you talked through those in many aspects with all of your clients. So now let's dive in and talk a little bit about it, right? So we're going to look at Josh and Ann's plan that we just went through there, right? You saw how you could gather that data and pull it in, as Richard mentioned and showed you. Now let's walk you through, once you've got it in there, what do we do about the plan? So if we look at the details I highlighted, right? Not the best starting point. What you're seeing here is our retirement analysis. This is our Monte Carlo simulation, our cash flow analysis, the overall probability of success, right? Are they going to be able to complete their plan, achieve their goals, and not run out of money? Well, as you can see, 64% is not very good. Well, within RightCapital, one of the things that people really like about our platform is you can make changes right here on the spot. So as you can see, their current plan, that's their baseline. That's always going to be based on their initial inputs. The proposed plan matches at the start, but here's where we could go in and start building that plan, address the what ifs, prepare the analysis in advance or right on the fly. So when we look at Josh and Ann's plan, there's a few things we know right away that we could probably look at to improve the odds, right? One, maybe we can save some money on their spending and expenses, which typically is easy to do, right? Just go through or have them go through, kill some of those streaming services they're not really needing, or some of those other expenses that are probably a little unnecessary. Other thing, you see they weren't saving very much, only 3%. So let's bump that up, to the 10% range till retirement. Another area, Social Security. We have some great tools in here. You can use standard approaches, customize. We even have an optimizer. So we'll select that. And then one final option we're going to talk about quickly for today, retirement spending, right? We know in most all cases, it's not linear, right? It's not one number that just kind of goes up and stays consistent. In many cases, it's going to be variable over time. Well, with our dynamic retirement spending strategies, you can set various parameters to adjust it throughout retirement to account for those variable scenarios. So the one we're going to use here today is what we call the SMILE approach. And it's probably pretty common to most of the things that you talk about with your clients, right? We talked about earlier in our questions, maybe they want to travel a lot on the front end. So we're going to account for more, maybe higher expenses where they could do more stuff in the early years of retirement, whether it's locally or around or spending more time with the kids. Maybe in the middle years, they're going to stay home more and, the hobbies will reduce a little less. And then the latter years of retirement, as we all know, unfortunately, healthcare expenses tend to skyrocket and go up quite a bit. So that's their SMILE, right, in their spending terms. So we made a few pretty, significant changes just by adjusting a couple quick items. We refresh it right there on the spot and say, okay, how's that going to adjust it for them? And we can see great result. Right now, Josh and Ann are into the 90s. That's a fantastic place to be as they're looking at the retirement. But maybe Ann says, what if instead of me retiring at 65, Josh is a couple years older than me. What if I retire at 63, but Josh retires at 65, so we retire in the same year? Okay, no problem. Let's take a look at it. You just simply adjust it, click refresh, right there on the spot. Great. You can see here, still in a great place. We're up into still upper 80s, and they're retiring at the same time. Well, now we go back to the second question. Can we travel? How much can we afford to spend in retirement while traveling? Well, you could add a goal right here. You don't have to leave, go back somewhere else, make a change, modify something to see what happens. I can just simply come down, click edit on the same page, add a goal if I like, and say, okay, well, we want to look at travel. So we have a preset vacation goal. We're going to look at, $8,000, let's say, for this particular scenario to see if that is doable. We want to start this at Josh's retirement. We're going to do this every year. And let's say for 10 years, right? It's going to be, that first decade of retirement. And then we're going to leave inflation set at general, but those are real simple targets to adjust if you decided to do so. So we just simply put that in, we save it, and we can see, all right, let's look at it. There's the 8K. And now still in pretty good shape, right? They got Josh and Ann, we made the adjustments prior. They're retiring at the same time, 65 and 63. They're dropping $8,000 a year to travel and vacation, and they're still in the mid 80s. So we can say they're in pretty good shape. We're pretty excited about that. So now moving on to the next question. How are we going to fund retirement? Well, that we can address over in our tax section. And what we allow here, as you can see, we're looking at that proposed plan. We highlight how they hit those different brackets based on their taxable income over their lifespan, and we can look at different scenarios for distribution. So one thing we can look at is different withdrawal sequences. So it defaults to pro rata in the view here, which is probably what most folks would do if they didn't have a great advisor like yourselves, right? They just draw it down evenly and assume that's the way to go. Well, in this case, we're compared to standard sequential, and it's quite a difference, right? Over $1.3 million in savings or gains to the overall plan, depending on how you want to look at it. But you can see you could compare other scenarios. In this case, this was the best option for them. Another key item, as we mentioned in there, is taxes. Taxes are obviously a big concern for folks throughout their lifetime, but particularly in retirement, right? Not just from a when do and what do I draw down from, are there other ways to have more tax advantaged or tax efficient distributions in retirements? Well, you could probably guess where I'm going with that. Well, maybe we can look at Roth conversions, and does it make sense? Is it going to help them generate more tax-free income in retirement? Well, we give you the ability to assess that quickly and easily right here, where you can simply adjust the bracket that you want to fill up to with Roth conversions. We'll calculate how much we can convert without going over in those years and then see what effect that has. And in this case, we can see, again, another positive effect for them. Now we're up to over 1.4 million in savings by layering on the Roth conversions on top of that distribution strategy. So really helping them not only get the right timing, but take other tax advantage savings and seeing if it makes sense, because it doesn't always. Now, once you get to that detail, you got their number, you can actually see the underlying details where we'll show you how much we're converting and then how much and when it's drawing down from the different tax buckets. So laying out that tax efficient strategy right there for you. Well, let's jump back and go to the last question in those top 5. How do I plan for the unknown, the uncertain, so to speak, inflation, taxes, Social Security, whatever it might be, common stressors. Well, we have our stress test features that let you look at a multitude of different options to stress the plan to see what happens. So if they're worried about it, you can show that we've talked about it, we've thought about it, and we're planning for it. Maybe that's a drop in the equity markets. Maybe we're going to, as has been said for a long time, we're going to go into a bear market, right? So what if we simulate a 20% drop now? What would that do? Obviously, it's going to have an effect on their plan. It's not going to destroy it, right? They'll probably need a few little tweaks here and there, but it's only going to drop them down into the mid 70s from 85% to 76. Well, let's look at, what if that actually happens a little later? What if that happens in retirement? And we had a 20% decline, as they go by. We can see again, still going to have an effect, but not blow up the plan. It's going to drop them into the mid 70s just as it did prior. So as you can see, you can stress a multitude of items if they're concerns of theirs. What if they live too long? Healthcare costs, inflation, that's been a hot topic for quite some time. You can even layer them together if you want to play an Armageddon type scenario. Then look at what if everything goes bad and see what happens to the plan. So again, giving you capabilities to really dive in and address those concerns. And then lastly, just want to touch on a few quick items around some of the data visualizations, which is a big theme and a big focus for RightCapital, to give you tools that make it easy for your clients to understand and digest. And one of the big ones we did earlier this year is what we call our cash flow maps. We actually give you a sand key chart view of their cash flows, and you can look at it year over year. So we've rolled out to retirement, but let's say you just want to flip back and forth, before retirement, we can see for Josh and Ann, there's their salary, their expenses, taxes, savings, where that money is allocated to, how it breaks out from a tax perspective, and you want to show them how does that transition, when they go to retirement. There it is, right? We've got no more inflows from salary. We've got their expenses, their goals, their taxes. Because remember, again, with that tax efficient strategy, they're drawing down the taxable accounts first and really dropping their tax brackets quite a bit to take advantage of that. We also give you the details if you want to look at a quick breakdown that allows you to drill into any of those areas. Then, of course, We have the full projection of cash flows. If you want to look at the spreadsheet view and drill down line by line, year by year, you can click into any item and look at the details of those underlying items throughout the entire section of the plan. So you have that capability if it's needed. But those maps really give you a nice soft view of that. Another area where we've done that, we did that a little prior to the cash flow maps, is what we call our snapshot. And this is our proverbial one-page plan where you can pick and choose any items from the different areas, create a custom view, add text messaging in it, and set up that 1 to 2 pages that highlights what's important to that client. So that way, if they don't want to drill through, multiple tabs, you could summarize it all in one place. You can provide this both online, as we do have the ability to both give them online access through our client portal, as well as the ability to print all these out in reports. So all these different sections you can include in a PDF report if you like. This snapshot is a very, very popular item. One addition to that is also something we rolled out not too long ago, is what we call our blueprint. And this gives you a nice soft visual of the household, so you can look at it from a net worth perspective, see what's on one side versus the other versus jointly held. And that could be a great way, especially in the early discovery stages, to see, is it a little lopsided, right? Is there things maybe you want to look at reallocating from an ownership perspective, if possible and if makes sense. Then it also gives you a nice timeline of their goals, so you can see when they kick in, how much they are, and if you needed to adjust something, you could just simply click on it and adjust it right there on the spot. So making it very easy to manage and maintain. And then lastly, income, savings, and expenses. Again, a nice quick breakdown of what that looks like. So many folks combine those 3 items that I just covered, the blueprint, the snapshot, and the waterfall view, to give clients really a very detailed assessment of their plan of all the key items in 3 quick sections. And taking what would normally cover 40, 50, 60, 70 pages, depending on the length of their plan, and condense it down to 3 to 4, maybe 5 pages, again, depending on what items you select. You can include all these different areas, and we don't have time to go through all of them here today, but you can lump in any of those sections, a multitude of tabs. We have other tools that go into, investments, insurance, education, estate planning, and Social Security, Medicare, and others. But just highlighting on Josh and Ann today, hopefully you get a nice view of what we can do from making plans beautiful for you and your clients, so that they can interpret them and digest them in a meaningful manner. And again, give them that online access or include it in a report. So hopefully that gives you a good sense there. I'm going to jump back to the slides for a few final comments, and then we'll see if there's any questions that our team hasn't already addressed, as I know many of them have already been answered. So final few comments again. Why RightCapital? I think you can see, right? Flexibility is a key theme. I think that's one of the main reasons we get such great satisfaction ratings, is it lets you customize it to that client experience. You can even templatize some of those scenarios I went through, so it makes it repeatable, right? With everything, you want to make it easy, but you want to make it repeatable, and that's one of the things we do within our platform. Between PreciseFP and us, you can have real-time collaboration with the clients, where it's gathering that data on the front end through PreciseFP and throughout the process, and then having that interactive experience that hopefully you got a good sense of when I went through those scenarios just now, allowing you to make changes and address the what ifs right there on the spot. The tax scenarios are one of our really call out sections that people love. You can highlight some really complicated scenarios, like doing Roth conversion analysis with a few clicks, as long as you have their information in there, and make it put a value on it, so you can show them some of the benefits you're going to bring them right out of the gate. We actually see many folks do that in modeling with prospective clients. And then lastly, give you those visuals, that making those beautiful plans, as we like to say out there. So with that, a few things on learning more, and then we'll see if we can answer 1 or 2 quick questions before we wrap up. On the PreciseFP side, again, if you'd like to learn more, please reach out to them. You can do that via support@precisefp.com. You can jump right on their site as well to gather a lot of details and look at all those great things that Richard highlighted, as well as they have a nice live chat that's available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. If you'd like to learn more on the RightCapital side, feel free to reach out to us here. We'd love the chance to talk to you one-on-one, answer your questions, even do a real live demonstration, go through a real use case, or highlight a generic one. You can do that by reaching out to us at sales@rightcapital.com, or feel free to give us a call, 888-982-9596, and press option 1, or feel free to just book a demo right through our site there. So with that, that's all our prepared content here for today. Again, I think you hopefully got a good sense of what we can do and what capabilities can be provided there. And now we'll come back on and see for the last 2 minutes here if we can answer a couple of quick questions. I know there were many out there. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get to them all, and our team did a great job of answering several of them right out of the gate. But let's see if there's a quick one or two for each of us on their side. So I'm not sure, Richard, if this is for you or me, but it looks like it could be both of us, so we'll both take it, right? It says, do you offer any open APIs or SSOs? So, Richard, I'll let you go first.
Definitely. On the PreciseFP platform, we have published APIs. We have a full suite of Postman collections of how to write to APIs. So pretty much the whole platform is exposed by API. So yes, absolutely.
Excellent. On the RightCapital side, we do have some API capabilities. We don't have an open API for integrations. That's why we integrate with great tools like PreciseFP and others. But we do have SSO capabilities for firms. Absolutely, we'd love to talk to you, learn a little bit more about what you're trying to do, and see if our platform fits and works in that scenario. All right, let's see if we have one more quick question, and then we'll wrap things up. This question around the integration. So I'll let you take this, Richard. Will the integration allow for the client to upload documents such as returns, estate docs, etc., to the vault?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can customize it. You can upload documents. You could do anything. Actually, I didn't get to it because we had limited time, but I actually added, when I got to the tax section, right before this, it took me literally less than 2 minutes, I added upload tax documents, and that we just didn't have time to go through that. But yeah, absolutely, you can upload, download, you can upload video, you can build out any of those components that you want, all securely, stored, all securely engaged. So absolutely, 100%.
Excellent. Well, and the last question we'll address is a great one. Will the slides from today's presentation be made available? Yes, we're doing a recording. The information we're going to share out with folks. We'll follow up with people after today's program so you can get a recap of everything. Again, we both would love to talk to you. Our teams would be happy to answer questions and go through any scenarios you like. So feel free to reach out and let us know. And with that, Richard, thank you very much. We're really excited about the partnership and integration, as I know you are too. And we're looking forward to talking to all of you on how we can help you make a streamlined process and provide a better experience to your clients. So with that, we'll wrap things up, and everybody have a great rest of your day. Thank you.